begin with, everyone believes that we should help those in need, right? Right. So how come when we're actually on the streets and someone homeless is asking us for money or for help, we completely ignore them like they're not even there? And I'm guilty of this too. I'm sure a lot of people are too. And why do we do this? When I was younger, we would always go to Toronto, and every time we go, I would ask for $1 to give to some random person asking for it. And even at a young age, I was always wondered why and how people even manage to be living in this state of life. So I want to share a new perspective with everyone, and I want to talk about a family friend, Henry. He's someone that you would expect would have a good life, but instead ended up homeless. And even though I only met him twice, I know that his story is good to tell. And to begin with, he lived in Vietnam, and his mother was his father's second wife. And since his first wife didn't accept him as his mother, they never got to live with his father. And so he and our family became really close. He was a bright student, and after school, he joined the Navy. And after the Navy, he fought with the Americans during the Vietnam War. And since we all know that the Americans lost, he had to go into labor camps, and he spent many years in these labor camps as a punishment. Now, everyone was trying to leave Vietnam at this time, but no one was allowed to leave, at least legally. So officials are accepting bribes, and Henry's father was a successful businessman, and he had a huge ship, and he was also smuggling other wealthy people out of the country. They brought all their valuables and gold onto the boat, and just before they reached international waters, their boat got bombed. And everyone on that boat died. And later on, officials went to the sea and fished out the remaining valuables in the water. So this wasn't uncommon, though. This happened a lot with people smuggling their way out. But Henry didn't even know his father was leaving until after he heard about the bombing. His father didn't bring him. So he had his chance to go to America, though. But America was accepting people who fought with them in the war. He got to be sponsored to go to the States, but he didn't take this offer. Instead, he had a friend who was also like his father, was trying to smuggle out wealthy people, but he didn't know how to drive a boat. So he asked Henry for help, and Henry accepted this offer because he gave him 3 seats, 1 for his mother and 2 for my family. So as we all know, waters were dangerous back then, and even refugee camps were not safe. But he made his way to the States. And like everyone, when you reach the States, you're back at zero. And his mother and him had to work at a supermarket until he eventually stopped because his mother got cancer and passed away. And after her death, we lost contact with Henry, and we didn't find him for a while. He would once in a while call and tell us about his life and ask about our grandpa. And he told us that shelters weren't safe because he was scared of other homeless people hurting him for money. Flash forward a couple years, we got a call from the police telling us that Henry was in the hospital because he got hit in a hit and run. And no one knew what happened, but all we knew was he was left on the concrete bleeding. The police only managed to find us because he had a phone number on him, and it was our family's phone number. And they told us that he wasn't going to make it because he was in a coma and half his brain was missing. So we flew over to California to find him, and the first sight of him took me off guard. He actually had half of his brain missing, and even though he did wake up from his coma, he lost a lot. He can't walk anymore, and he lost all his memories. All he can remember is his childhood. And even if you introduce yourself to him in 2 minutes, if you walk out the door and come back in, he'll ask, who are these people? So even though Henry suffered through a lot, through labor camps, his parents' deaths, being homeless, he still never was angry about his life. He was always happy. And his only one goal after coming to America was to finally own a house before 65. And today he's 65, and he's stuck living in a hospital. So mainly, I just want to say, just treat homeless people not as homeless people, but as people, because that's what they are. And this is just Henry's story, and there's many others. So thank you.